have to have some leverage of competency.
The sad part is I have no swag, dog.
So we had a lot of people mention a lot of things in the comments. Congratulations, Coley. They have come for your head in the comments. So that's my dog. He's my co-host. Where'd I get him from? Well, I got him from off his appearance. You know, straight off the corner, doing nothing. No, I'm joking. I love my co-host because he brings that flavor. He brings that fan thought process. And as a former player, there are times as fans, they can get right there. Just, you know, that tangy wine or that spoiled orange juice, like, you know, just that bitterness. But I like it because it keeps me on my toes. Mm-hmm. So before we get started, we're doing 2 breakdowns every week. I got the top 38. There's people who said that this guy's coming back, that guy's not coming here. I understand. But here's the thing that you guys have to understand and realize what's going on. I've talked to several people. When I say several people, I'm talking about general managers, former general managers, head of player personnel, director of pro scouting for all these NFL teams. And so when I'm talking to them, I'm asking for information and data. I want to be able to sit right here in this studio online and be able to give you a breakdown of wide receivers of the why. I did a poor job, so I'm going to apologize. I did a poor job last year of at times making it seem like I favored one player or over the other. I was just super excited to do it. I love watching film, so my creativity and my passion for it and my opinion, humble opinion, is based off what guys put on the film, what they do on the field. I'm never, this is just me, I'm never going to compare an NFL great to a guy that's trying to get in the league. I just don't do it. I believe it's disrespectful. I'm not into that. People will say, oh, this player, he reminds me. I use the comp of a taller version of Tank Dell. I think it was Worthy for Texas. When I use comps or Legley for Xavier, when I use DK Metcalf, when I use comps, I'm saying what I initially, the first thought that comes to my mind. I'm not saying he's better or he's worse. I'm saying his body mannerisms. In this case for Tank and Worthy, because I like to keep it a buck. I like to be honest. I mean, in these guys, when I mean this comparison, where I just believe sometimes these 2 individuals do a really good job of juking 9 million people because they don't want to get hit. They're not about that business. They're playing football. And I've saw people, comments talk about, let these kids live. Oh, you're too this, you're too that. This is the evaluation process. You should see what some of these guys say on the evaluation process. It's lightweight disrespectful. Some of it is why it's not put out there in the internet, is because some of it is downright just sad. And I'm not going to get into whether I like a kid or not. I'm going to make you believe I like the kid because there's so much negativity out there in the world overall. So many basement, I'm going to just be some basement bums who have podcasts. Steve, what makes you any different from this? Google me and look at my resume. That's what makes me different, right? You may not respect my career, but I learned something in these 16 years that is beyond the 4K television that you're watching, because there are little nuances. And let's get in right to it. When I look at my breakdown, I had a category of about 6 to 7. And I say 6 to 7 because 7, I'm still trying to decide if I really want to add it, but I'm not sure. So 1, obviously, I'm going to name the individual and their stats. 2, where he his best games were. You know, where was his best games? Why? Then 3, where's he line up in offense? I think that's always important. 4, drops, first down, targets, reception, depths of targets. That's always important. 5, things I like and things he needs to work on. And then under that is hands, route running, blocking after the catch. That yak! And then my overall summary. My overall summary is really what some of the things I think he needs to work on, what I like, and say, hey, he's a day one. Day one is first round. Mm-hmm. Day 2 and day 3, day 4 and preferred, free agent, reject, or Kent body. And I hate to say it, there's a lot of Kent bodies walking around and playing in college that don't understand that they're a Kent body because of what they put on film. And let's jump into it right now because I'm hyped to do it right now.
I mean, let's start off. You talk about where a guy lines up. I don't know if we'll see someone who is more versatile in terms of lining up in the slot and out wide than a lot of people's wide receiver too, Malik Nabers from LSU. I really appreciate, before we get into this, I don't know, remember the last time this happened, the top 2 receivers projected, we have no idea what's going to happen, projected, are the wide receiver factories, Ohio State and LSU. Typically, one of those teams takes a year. This year, they're going head-to-head. Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Nabers at the top of the class. That excites me. But we're talking about a guy, 241 slot snaps, 207 wide snaps. You can put him anywhere is how I'm reading that.
Yeah, you can. And 38 he's 6 feet, 200 pounds, 38 games played, 3 years, 189 receptions, 3,003 yards, 21 touchdowns. His best games, 50 first downs, only 4 drops. I love that, only 4 drops. His best games, Texas A&M and Mississippi State, as far as graded out. I'm looking at how these guys grade out, and then I also look at the bad games too, where guys didn't show up. And sometimes them not showing up has nothing to do with the wide receiver. Sometimes them not showing up has to do with, right, especially LSU, man, the inability to allow their quarterback to go through their progressions. Mm-hmm. Right? Sometimes these guys are running routes, and I'm just a little bit frustrated because here's the thing. Sometimes watching Nabers, you can't tell because sometimes Daniels is going through his progression. He's under duress, so he has to scamper out and take off. But the overall thing with Nabers, where I can see Junior being 1, Marvin Harrison Jr. being 1. Malik Nabers is my 1B, bro, 1A. Like, I'm talking about right underneath there. And you know why? Watching Nabers run routes is like watching Picasso paint with no paint on his brush. You just don't know. You're like, dang it, who did not fill up the paint can? Because he'll run a route, you don't get to see him. The thing I love is he lines up out wide more than he lines up in the slot. So that's really, really good. Right? So we're going to jump into some plays going against Arkansas. Look at that. Understand zone coverage. Gives a little nod. But here's the thing. Why I have this play is like, oh, Steve, he doesn't complete the pass. Yeah, he doesn't complete the pass. Again, what are we talking about? Understand zone coverage. Moves, but the ball is not there. But this is the play. What I love about Nabers, his ability to play through contact. 6 feet, 200 pounds. This corner is all over him. This is flag on the play. But he runs a what they call a hinge. Releases outside. Now, I told you I don't like his release. But all of the receivers at LSU, so this is a technical thing. All of the receivers at LSU are taught this shoulder play. They just use the shoulder and they dip and rip. I like it fist fight in the phone booth. That's my preference. Use the shoulder move. See, when I talk about the shoulder move, see how he gets a little bit outside of his base so it slows him down. Thank God they're blocking up front this time so the quarterback can stay on him. Then the quarterback corners all over him. You see, you can't even see number 8 because he's ripping his jersey. But he used that fist fight in the phone booth. Still gets in there. Ball is thrown inside, which I kind of like at the end of it. But initially I was like, yeah, let's keep me
Right.
outside.
Right.
Fights through. That should have been a penalty. Okay, this is a part. Look, so right here, bang, fights through all of that. He only has one arm. Makes a great catch. Look at that, just stellar right there. Like that play. Here's right here where the mommy comes. You know, I've said it last year. When you get your receiver makes the corner go, mommy. Gives him an indicator step. He already is telling you where his leverage is going. Boom. Yeah. Look at the corner. Man, the corner looks like a polar bear on skates trying to ice skate, except he got cleats on. He woo, woo, woo. You know what I tell you when you know you got a corner going? What do they put up? What them arms start to put up? Them landing strips.
Mm-hmm.
That was another Picasso play. Now this is the one. This is what sold me. Mississippi State. I didn't have the patience. I would always sneak up on people. I wasn't a very good double move. I was a leverage guy. Comes out. Yeah. Look at the corner. Look at the corner. Corner sits, as my old coach, God rest his soul, Richard Williams, would say, got that leg cattywampus. I never knew what cattywampus meant. But now when I see this, when that leg gets in the area, look how the corner starts to speed up. He does an old Fred Flintstone, like he's about to get in the car. You see it, he just goes, yo, let me start off.
Damn, man, that was a full. His hips were completely facing the end zone. He had to flip around, only to flip around again because he bit on that first move.
Let me play it all the way through so you can just watch it. Da. Oh gosh.
Ah, boy, yeah, that's.
That's how I watch film, man. I watch film just like that. Boo! Look at him. Good tackle. Watch this. Yeah. Oh gosh. Head back. That's a tough one, buddy. That's a tough one.
When you watch that catch too, obviously he's wide open, which
but it was underthrown.
It was underthrown. That's what I'm asking. Like it's underthrown, and you know now the corner, the advantage you've gained by flipping him around like that.
Yes.
Now he's eating up that space as you wait for the ball. How difficult is it? And maybe difficult is not the right word, but to focus on making the catch, knowing all right, as instead of a walk-in touchdown, if I had been led, I have to turn and wait, and now get hit. How difficult is that?
I'm going to body catch it.
Okay.
I'm just going to body catch it because I need to.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave any room for error because now the ball is waiting up there. Now I'm thinking, I'm in my head.
Right.
So yeah. I want to do all of that. What I really love about Nabers and how he does things is he runs a lot of variations of routes. He's a hell of a skilled football player. He gets the leverage. He utilizes fights through contact, how he can get free access and create free access. I believe whatever team he goes to and how he goes to them.
Well, I was going to say he was fourth in the nation in deep yards with 624, sixth in the nation in slot yards, 991. Is this a guy? Because he's most likely going to go top 10. Is this guy who can go to a team that even has, let's say they already have an X or they already have a Y or they already have a Z, and he can play wherever they need him to, as opposed to a different type of team where it's like, no, we need an X. Let's go get an X. Like he seems to me to have a step-in role day one, no matter what you already have on your team.
He does have that step-in role. But when we go through some of the list of teams, bring up some of those teams, you're going to have some guys that are going to slip because there are teams, so many teams are thirsty and hungry for quarterbacks right now. They're giving organs right now. You saw the Carolina Panthers. They gave a slew of organs. Kidney, they gave all of that. They lost a kidney to get Bryce Young, and then the season – they were trying to pass those kidney stones, and it was tough.
Yeah, so the Bears have the first pick. Obviously, DJ Moore was great for them last year. Cole Kmet and Justin Fields, if Justin Fields is even there, seem to have some synergy. But they have two picks in this top 10. and they still need a wide receiver. So I
They
feel like
but they also need on their knees what the Chicago Bears.
a
What are their
football team.
needs?
Quarterback, wide receiver, center, defensive line, cornerback. That's the top 10. These teams didn't get here by mistake. You understand?
Bro, I love your honesty. You're like, they need a whole football team.
Yeah, new stadium.
True.
They need it all. Like that.
Yeah.
They need to start from scratch. Is what
all
they
right.
need
So
to do.
who's underneath though?
It was Washington, and
Okay,
football stadium should be first for Washington.
Right. They just got Dan Quinn. Right. So they need a slew of things. But so here's the unique part about the Commanders. Quarterback. Let's say they do need a corner. They need D linemen.
Yeah.
So a team like the Washington Commanders, they come into the draft and they have their priorities of what's, obviously quarterback is most important, especially with a new head coach and a defensive-minded head coach who understands the importance of having a good quarterback. Sometimes a good quarterback is better than a great defense.
Sure. Keep your defense off the field.
Yes. Now, if you can have your coordinator in check, that'll help too. But that's a different podcast.
Well, that was Houston last year. Houston, they hired D'Amico. They go out and they get CJ, and then they also get Will Anderson. They're like, hey,
yes,
let's do it all. Let's just fix every problem we have.
Because they had enough equity to do that,
right.
And they had a plan that they're willing to stick with, despite what other people believe and think. When you get these wide receivers that's out there, say the Washington Commanders or the Chicago Bears, well, both of these teams are deciding on quarterbacks. So let's just say hypothetically the Chicago Bears do what they did last year and someone gives them more equity and more second and third round picks and in a first round pick, they go, hey, you know what? We need a wide receiver, but we need a guy that can fit in right now and possibly play guard or center or tackle.
Sure.
We're going to get the best available player for our position that we need, sometimes not the best available player, because we may be missing out on that tackle or guard who could take us over the top, who could solidify the development of Justin Fields.
Yeah.
And get a wide receiver in the third or fourth round who won't hit our salary cap, and we can have a rite of passage. And there's the rite of passage that people are missing. Look at Devontae Adams. He was a second-round pick, I believe, from Fresno State. Second or third round pick. And became a baller versus some of these other players who they have used first round picks on some of these other teams, or a first round pick who just does okay. And so they'll have a guy where he'll play punt return. We'll get him in there situationally, groom him.
Yeah.
And then he about his third or fourth year when the average fan is going, this guy came out of nowhere. No, he didn't. We've been grooming him the whole time.
Yeah.
We've been putting him in situationally to make sure that he is well-versed and prepared mentally and physically to be the player that we saw 3 years ago when we drafted him in the second, third, fourth, fifth round. And if you have a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh round pick and he doesn't work out, nobody remembers him anyway.
Right.
Nobody's going to say, hey, he was a bust. Because fifth, sixth, seventh round picks are not valued the same way.
Yeah. Only if the same position gets drafted within the next 5 picks and that guy goes on to be a Tyreek Hill. That's when people remember, oh, why did we take this guy when he was sitting right there?
But I don't think people are really thinking about it. Like, I haven't heard.
Those fan bases do, not nationally, but those specific fan bases always remember. I mean, the Patriots forever have taken the wrong wide receiver 2 picks before the Steelers go out and they get George Pickens. You know what I mean? Like that happens to us pretty much every year. So the individual fan bases remember. You're right. Nationally, it's not that big of a conversation.
Okay. All right. I like that. Man, just love the free access that Neighbor makes for himself. He utilizes a lot of different variation releases. He's physical point of contact. I love the way he's well rounded in his route running. You can see some of the things and the potential. Just he doesn't get the opportunity as much in the pass game because of the different amount of penetration by the front seven. A lot of times gets in and out of his breaks. He fights through contact. Strong center of base. Right, his center of gravity is really good. Adjusts well to the football. A few passes weren't always thrown in ideal spots, but he made the quarterback right.
Yeah.
Because of the outcome, the quarterback looked like that's exactly how they designed the throw. And that's what you want from a wide receiver. You always want your wide receiver to protect the throw. You want your wide receiver to develop the trust with the quarterback that says, hey, even when you're wrong with the spot of the ball, I'll make you right when I catch the football. That's something you can't create. When throwing him the ball, your chances are greater that something great is going to happen. That's what I see when I look at him, just Malik Nabers overall. I believe he'll be a fantastic pick. I don't have a comp right now of who he reminds me of because he reminds me of Malik Nabers.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like the guy we're going to be talking about later, guys we're going to be talking about this whole draft class, he is just so well-rounded.
Yeah.
And he's only 20 and a half, too. Like, he's young for his class, even. But like I said, he was 6th in the nation in slot yards. He was tied 49th in slot catches. You know what I mean? So there were guys who were getting a lot more looks in the slot than him, but not doing nearly as much as he was doing with the ball in his hands. And I see 30 missed tackles forced on the season. That was 4th in all of college football. That was 4th. So not only is he versatile, you can get him the ball from wherever he lines up on the field, but once he gets the ball, he's not done. He's not just catching a deep ball, getting tackled. He's not mossing someone, going out of bounds. None of that. He's like, what can I do now? Now the hard part's done. Now it's my turn. What can I do from here?
He had a catch in the end zone against Florida State. It was a circus catch. I don't know how he did it.
Right.
Just pretty darn good. And then you look at Florida State, some of their corners and the top. What I've been watching is some of these players. I go, okay, when they had good games or bad games, who was it against and why? Why did they have a bad game? Sometimes the bad games had to do with quarterback play.
Yeah.
Sometimes it had to do with, hey, that was a pretty good corner. And that guy's going to get paid too.
Yeah.
I don't get to pick the ranking of these receivers, but I'm utilizing the ranking because the numbers are there. The national scouting does it. I'm just a recipient of the information.
Mm-hmm.
I don't always agree with the information, but this part of the information. And so he's ranked number 2 because you have it. I can see him. Either one of these guys, whoever you pick, you won't be disappointed. Harrison Jr. and Nabers, you won't be disappointed.
Yeah, and I mean PFF's by no means the end all be all. But like you said, it's information. Their big board, they have MH2 2nd overall, position be damned, and they have Nabers 4th overall. Just the quarterbacks May between them, and Williams 1 overall. So yeah, it's not even just like, oh, people think this is the 2nd best wide receiver. No, they think this is one of the best overall football players in this draft.
Because he can change your receiver room on top of what you already have.
Yeah.
Right? He's not a role player. I believe he could be your tier 1.
Yeah, PFF's highest graded receiver. Comfortably 93.1 receiving grade, 92.9 overall grade. Again, not the end all be all, but
nope.
They do watch a lot of football. So
they do.
They're judging these guys on the same scale.
You know what I like about PFF too? That a lot of people don't realize, and even EA Madden, man, these guys go to games and they look at it and evaluate it, and they evaluate it weekly.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't agree with all of them,
of course.
right? But it's enough information that I respect it. For
Exactly.
me, I look at PFF and some of these other ones as a great starting point.
1000%.
Like, okay, this is what I'm thinking. Let me see if I can at least get the analytics to tell me if I'm off base. Right? When I made the statement about Christian Kirk and Zay Jones, about them being the same player, I said that without any data information.
Right.
Then when I get the data information, I go, I literally did this. I was in my office. I was like, I love it when my mind aligns with the stats.
Yeah, confirming what your eyes see. Yeah.
Yes. And then when I look at the stats, I go, oh yeah, that I was right. Not I was right like, hey, but I was right in regards. I didn't just say something and let it stick against the wall. I was like, oh, because when I watch tape, I'm going, okay, he's doing this. It's the same thing, just different number, different jersey. All right. I am Agent 89. You have been in session in school with me. My teacher aide right here. This is Steve Smith Sr., Agent 89. Class is
Coley
over.
Mick.
You are dismissed.